Cool. Okay, so welcome to this class in business coaching, navigating your business amidst the coronavirus. Really happy that you're here, and if you're watching the replay, happy that you're joining us afterwards. Love seeing all these gratitudes in the chat. So sweet. Thanks for sharing, everybody.
I can't hear anything. Where's the sound?
Let's see, and I'm going to mute everyone except me just to make sure that it's my voice that's heard until later on. So welcome. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. I'm really grateful that you're choosing to spend this next hour and a half or so with me. I know your time's valuable. So my intention for this time is that you can slow down and really be present and take in this information. I have a lot to share, actually. The list kind of keeps growing. And that means, so that you can be present, try to put away devices that you're not using, close the gazillion extra tabs, and just, give yourself the gift of being focused on one thing, for a little while. And I will make it worth your attention. So, all that said, this isn't a super polished webinar. I don't have a slide deck today. So just bear with me. I just really wanted to get this info out to you as soon as possible. So a few logistics before we get grounded and dive in. If you have any questions as I teach, please jot them down for later, or you can put them in the chat, and I will try to mind the chat while I'm teaching, but I'm also going to be switching programs just to look at my notes. So I might not see it, when you put it in there, and you might need to just ask me again later, or I'll flip through the chat afterwards. I may also ask specific questions when I'm speaking, and I'd love to see your answers in the chat. And I think everybody else would love to see them too. It's really helpful and fun, I think, to see what's happening for other people as well. We can actually practice that right now. If you want to start popping in the chat, what's your business and where do you live? So put that in the chat, and then we can all see, who's in the room. You can do that while I'm talking right now. Last little logistic, I'm going to teach for 45-ish minutes or so, and then at the end, we'll have a group business coaching session until 12:30 or so. And in between those two things, I'm going to share with you about a virtual retreat that I have coming up on April 15th and 16th, in case you want to join. And I'll share a little bit about my group coaching program too, that I'm going to be accepting more members into also pretty soon. So more on that as we dive into the content, because actually a lot of what I'm teaching will be able to go into more depth if you want to attend that retreat. So I'll say more about that, but do know that I'll give more info about this, but if you sign up for it today, you get a little bonus. So that's fun. I'm actually going to put the link to the retreat in the chat now in case you want to check it out, in case you have to leave early. I'm not going to hold back until the end. So here it is. It's called the Resilience Retreat. It's also on my website, so you can find it there. Awesome. Love seeing all those going on in the chat right now. Yay. So let's take a moment. You can stop doing the chat thing for a sec. Let's take a moment to just get present. If you want, you can close your eyes. You don't have to. Take a deep breath. And just feel the weight of your body on your chair, or on the couch, or on the ground, wherever you're seated. And just really feel the support. Let that chair support you. Just let your body relax into that chair. Feel how it meets your body and really supports you. Because you're here to be supported. And really feel that beneath that chair, the earth is supporting you. And as you inhale, draw up energy from the earth. Big, deep inhale, and just let it really fill up your body. And then as you exhale, you can just let go of any tension, any physical tension in your body. As you inhale, just really inhale that earth energy. The earth is so here for us right now. She's so steady. Inhale her energy, and then just exhale the tension. Exhale the stuff floating around in your head, the worries that you don't need in this moment. Take one more big deep breath, inhaling that power and energy from the earth. And exhale, relax. And when you're ready, you can come back to the room, open your eyes. Welcome again. So we are in a wild time. I just want to say it, acknowledge it really loud and clear. Things are not normal right now. Things are kind of intense. And if you're feeling lots of things, you are so totally normal, right? So just be gentle with yourself. Nobody here has experienced anything like this before, right? It's really quite surreal to me. The magnitude of this is pretty unbelievable. But here we are, trying to figure it out together. And so I hope I can provide a little insight today. Before we dive in, I'm just going to give you the quick version of who I am. I think most of you have met me, but for those of you who haven't, I help women, mostly women, not entirely women, coaches, consultants, healers, and other service-based practitioners transform a business that drains them into a business that sustains them. And I am just a huge stand for stepping off the crazy productivity hamster wheel that is Western society, slowing down, ideally in nature, and getting really aligned and clear about what we're truly meant to do, right? And then from that place of alignment and clarity, intentionally designing a business that really supports your life and your visions, a business that's focused and streamlined and strategic and sustainable and resilient. I also have a chronic illness and a toddler, so I feel like I have special skills in all those areas, getting really streamlined and focused. I started off as a professional environmental social justice organizer and advocate. Later on, I co-founded a nature-based nonprofit that I grew and co-directed for about 7 years. Got totally burnt out in the process and started this business about 5 years ago as an answer to that. But you can read more about my story if you want on my website. So who are you? Well, I know there's probably a range of folks and experiences here today. I know that some of you are seeing declines in your businesses. Some folks haven't seen a big change, but are feeling a little edgy about what the future holds. And some of you have more business right now and are trying to figure out how to juggle it all and take care of yourself, right? So there's wisdom here for all of you, wherever you're at in your business. But when I sat down to create the class, I did have in mind the folks who generally work with who have established businesses already, making somewhere between 4 or 5 and 10K a month, and are needing now to do some adjusting based on what's happening in the economy. But you're still working with clients, earning money, even if you've seen some decline. These are also folks, and you can tell me in the chat if you identify with this. These are the people I typically work with, even before coronavirus. I'm calling it BC, right? So BC, you needed support in your business to make things easier already, right? You were already spread too thin and trying to do all the things and, working pretty hard to make that money, right? Some things were definitely working, but some things were feeling like a struggle. And now we're in this position where you have clients that are leaning on you even more, perhaps. You're also trying to figure out a new business strategy and how you're going to reorient a little bit. And then all that while kind of just trying to deal with life right now. So that need for alignment and clarity and focus and systems and boundaries is even more present. So yeah, if that resonates for you, you can pop that in the chat. But bottom line, if you are looking for a compassionate guide to help you navigate your business through some wild waters, I'm here for that. So today we are going to go through, I'm going to share some tips. Started out as 10, it's 15 now, for how to navigate your business at this time. The disclaimer, of course, is that I don't have all the answers, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen over the next months, years, right? And this is my guidance at the moment, subject to change as the situation evolves. So I truly hope this is useful guidance for you. But as you'll learn in a moment, tapping into your own wisdom right now is more important than ever, So one last thing before I dive in, I have a little PSA. I've been thinking about this a lot, as stressed and sad and anxious and frustrated as I have felt in many moments over the past few weeks, it's also very apparent to me how privileged I am. It's a privilege to stay home and run my business. There are so many people who have to go to work still in, not great conditions where they could be exposed to the virus, or they don't have safe homes, or they don't have any home, right? Our marginalized communities are the hardest hit right now. Wealth disparity is even more intense right now. And so, yeah, this is hurting me. And it's really hurting the folks who are already at a disadvantage in our communities. So the PSA is, can you do a little something to help? It's likely that you can still give at least a little bit to people in need, right? And many of you have the resources to give more. I read yesterday about the first cases of coronavirus in the ICE detention centers. And so I sent some money over to RACES, the Refugee and Immigrant Center, for education and legal services. And it feels really good to be generous at this time. And I really believe it gets us out of this like kind of tiny fear and scarcity world that we can be in. So I'm going to pop in the chat this organization that I love that's doing really great work on that. But, contribute wherever you want or can. I think those folks are doing some great work. So let's dive in. Okay. My first tip is slow down. This is always my message for those of you who know me, but it's even more so right now. So the reason for this is because we are in a time of massive uncertainty. And there are plenty of folks with tons of advice out there, I'm sure you've noticed. And some of it's really good advice for sure, but there's kind of an overwhelming amount of it. And so when there's this much that's unknown and this many people telling you to do this and that and the other thing, I feel that you are actually your most reliable source of information. And that means you need to be able to listen and like really feel and listen to your heart and trust yourself. And it's really, really hard to do that, to find center like that when you're just blazing through and speeding through. We need to be able to sit quietly and be able to listen to ourselves, right? This is why I host retreats in nature in general, but it's also why I'm hosting this special one in a couple of weeks, because we need this so much right now. We need to be able to listen to ourselves, right? We need to be able to trust our own intuition and what feels right for us amidst all of everybody telling us what we should be doing, right? Including me, right? So the other thing is that it feels like there's a bit of a race happening or an urgency. You might feel in your business like you got to fix things and offer things and figure it all out and make the money. And it's true, like some of that does need to be done, and people do need your services, and there is an opportunity right now. And we'll talk about that too. And people are going to need us in a month from now also. Perhaps there's going to be an even greater need, right? So if you need the time to slow down and go inward, take it, right? If you want to be present with your kids or your heart or whomever or whatever, then please do that, right? The really interesting and kind of cool part that's happening right now is that everybody is slowed down, right? It's weird because there's like this sped up piece of things, like where everything's going really fast, and then there's this way that everything's like we're like kind of in a muck too, right? That's what I'm feeling anyways, this kind of fast, slow, weird time thing. But my point is that there's this way that things have sort of slowed down and expectations are kind of reduced, right? So take advantage of that, right? People aren't expecting you to like be totally on top of everything. I hope, it seems that way in general. So I want to relieve you of putting so much pressure on yourself to doing everything that you're accustomed to doing. And that said, like a lot of folks don't have the luxury of really slowing down. Like I wish I was that mom just playing with her kid in the backyard all day. That would be awesome, but that's, I do have to work, right? So if this is you though, and you still have to work, you can still find these moments in the day where you slow down, even if you can't spend your whole day like languishing in a hammock. This is a marathon that we're in. It's not a race. Okay. So just permission to slow down. That's my first one. I think it's like honestly the most important thing right now. The second one, a little bit related. This is my second tip. You have the opportunity right now to be a thought leader, to share your wisdom. So that's the tip, but related to number one is that you also don't have to be, right? You don't have to do that. So I'm finding there's people are reacting in a lot of ways to this experience we're having. One of the ways is to really be out there and sharing, especially I'm talking about like business owners being out there and sharing. And some people are like pulling back and, being closer to home, closer to whatever needs to be taken care of more personally. And so the question is like, should you be out there speaking out and being bold and being a courageous leader, right? Or should you be tending to yourself, your family, your clients that you already have, right? Well, my answer to that is that really it's all okay. I personally authentically feel like sharing actually even more now than I was before. Most days, not all days. So that's what's feeling right for me right now. There is an opportunity to share your wisdom right now, to be a leader for your clients and your community, your potential clients, because people do need it. They want trusted sources. They want inspiration. And you can provide that if you authentically feel to do that. Like absolutely be out there and be bold and courageous. But I also want to give you permission to not do that. It's all welcome, right? So I'm curious in the chat, are there people who feel like, oh, I should be doing more right now, but they're like not really so able to, like it's a little bit challenging right now? Does that resonate for anyone? Yeah. So yeah. So I'm going to give everybody, comes and goes for sure, right? Sometimes there's like a lot of energy. Like there's days I'm like, oh my God, I have so much to say. And I write like 5 blog posts in a day, or maybe 3, not 5, but a lot. And then there's days I'm like, oh God, no, right? So let's just all give everybody permission right now to just let that be okay, to not have to like put so much out there and be so productive, right? Just full permission to not have to do that right now, okay? Just sit and listen for what's true for you. Take care of yourself, your family, your friends, whatever you need to do, okay? I was just talking to a therapist friend who is very outspoken, has a really popular podcast, but she's been laying low since this started, right? She's just needed to take care of herself. And she told me the other day, we were on like a 6-foot distance walk, and she said she's just now kind of feeling almost ready to record an episode and like really connect with folks. And I know it's going to be really valuable when she does that, but she just, she needed to cocoon for a little while and before she was ready for that. Right. So, as you are, one idea is like, as you are pulling back and cocooning and just being with yourself, plant the seeds with yourself, about what the message is that you do want to share with folks. Because I'll talk in a little bit about, how to kind of maintain your business in these times. So that's the second one. We need to take hyper productivity has been my coping mode. I had to rest and go inside for the first 2 weeks, just starting to feel ready to create this week. Totally. That totally makes sense, Kelsey. Yeah. I know. And then I was really on it the first couple of weeks, and now I'm like, ooh, so it's up and down, right? That said, there are a few things that are really wanting to be shared that I would like to find the time for soon. Totally. Yep. Yeah. Awesome. Agreed to whoever just talked about the patriarchy thriving on hyperproductivity, 100%. Yeah, slow it down. Okay, so tip number 3, don't give away the store, right? There is a lot of free stuff out there right now. Have you noticed? You're on a free thing right now, right? It's like the free stuff frenzy. And it's beautiful. Like for some of it, it's really coming from this place of pure generosity, and people have the time and energy to help. And some of it feels a little like frenetic, and like it's coming from fear or of like about wanting to be a savior, or just getting attention, or or even taking advantage of people, right? There's a lot of it out there. And yes, again, there's a lot of it that's really authentic and generous, and I love that. It's beautiful. It really is. I just want all of us to kind of tap into for ourselves, like where's your free stuff coming from? Is it coming from a place of generosity, or is it coming from a place of fear, or one of the other things that I mentioned? Because as I feel like I've already said this 10 times, but we're in this for the long haul, right? We need to take care of ourselves. So now is not actually the time to overgive and exhaust yourself, right? It's just not the time for that. This comes back to checking in with yourself and using your own intuition to know, like, what do I really feel like I want to give away, and what do I need to actually sell? Okay. I will say this, and it relates to the privilege piece as well. For folks who are more at the edge financially, there's going to be more of an urge to kind of give away stuff for free. And I just want to honor that that's like a normal feeling to have. And it's normal to feel fearful right now. So I'm not like dissing people for being in that mode. What I'm suggesting is that we all just take a step back and take some deep breaths and be strategic about what we offer for free. Because I'm a big fan of free stuff. It's an excellent and well-worn, well-tested marketing strategy, of course, to give something away for free so that people can get to know you in a really low-risk way, and then they can be more comfortable actually making a purchase from you, right? This is a great marketing strategy. I just don't want you to go overboard and exhaust yourself. I'm seeing something in the chat that I wanted to respond to. Someone raked me over the coals for doing a genuine, generous offering thing with marketing. That's unfortunate. I'm really sorry that happened, Ariana. I think people are like hyper tuned into that being taken advantage of right now. And I think people have a story about that. Probably some business owners and also just people in general have a story that they're being sold to or that they're selling. And so all I can say to that is just continue to offer from your heart and offer generously. And if there are people who like give you crap for that, like it's probably their stuff. Like absolutely be out there being generous in your offering. Because I'm sure that everybody here has something that is valuable for people right now. So all that said, I do think it's great to think about alternative ways to price right now. Again, not giving away things for free. For example, on my retreat that I'm doing in a couple weeks, you'll see a very clear pricing options for different people depending on where they're at right now. And you're welcome to steal that or emulate it, for your own business. So I think it's great to think about that, but definitely, and I'll get more into this in a minute, but definitely offer the real price, because there are certainly people who can still pay for it, right? Plenty of it. But the bottom line that I want to make now is that you still need to make money, right? You have to take care of yourself and your family and your community, all the things, right? There's no shame in selling as long as you do it with honesty and integrity, as always, right? And be even more tuned into that right now because people have they're vigilant about this. Your stuff is needed. Your stuff is still worth money. And I don't want you to get burnt out doing a ton of client work, for not enough money to support you, right? Your clients are important, and you're even more important because, the whole oxygen mask thing, right? If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to serve your clients, right? Awesome. So tip number 4, there are so many opportunities to serve and earn money right now. There really are. There are people on this call and many people in the world who still have money to spend, right? Their income has been steady or even increased. A lot of stories of people making more money right now, depending obviously on industry, right? Or people's partners still have the regular full-time job, or they have savings or wealth or whatever it is, right? Don't get caught in the trap that like everybody's struggling and nobody has any money. It's simply not true. Obviously there are people who are struggling financially. It's not across the board. I know plenty of people who are not struggling financially and are still buying plenty of stuff, right? And services, and new and different services, right? Plus I know that, for me and many others, our expenses are way down, right? We're not paying for childcare right now. We're not going out to eat. We're not doing most forms of entertainment, right? Although I feel like people now, we need a budget for like Zoom events. But anyway, stay open to the possibility of more abundance right now, not less, right? And this is actually something that on the virtual retreat in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a whole piece and guided meditation and work around cultivating that inner trust and trust in the abundance of our planet and the world. And my colleague Khadija is going to lead that actually. So yeah, opportunities, ways to serve. We're entrepreneurs. We get to be nimble and creative right now. The thing is with the opportunities, you just really need to tap into what people need right now, what your people need right now, right? not everybody and anybody, your people. There are always opportunities in a crisis, you know, and I'm not talking about capitalizing on the crisis. I'm talking about serving, right? People need things right now. As long as you're doing it, again, with honesty and integrity, you can take advantage of opportunities out there, and it's a win-win, right? For you and the people that you help, and you get paid, okay? So don't give away everything for free, still sell your services. Okay, next tip. Don't let your business disappear. Instead, I want you to think about creating resilience during this time instead. If you, again, honoring your own pace and your own needs, I want to also say that if you stop marketing and selling completely, you're not going to have people probably in the pipeline when this is over, quote unquote. Who knows what over really means or what the next world is going to look like. But it's going to be harder to get things going again if you totally disappear, right? So here are a few ways that you can stay in the game. Even if you've decided to take a little step back, or even if your revenues go down, or even if you get set up with one of these loans, and I'll talk about those in a minute too. But I want you to set yourself up to be successful on the other side of this. I also want to set you up for success to be successful through it, but I know that people are in different places and some people are going to be pulling back a little more. So what I'm saying is don't disappear completely. So the first thing is, you know, again, at the pace that works for you, right? First, really tend to your existing clients. Give them some extra love right now. They need it. Everybody needs more support right now. Most of us are in industries where we're like healing or helping in some way, and healing and helping in some way, and they need extra support, right? Like I'm offering some extra sessions for my clients right now, and it's very much appreciated, right? Of course, without overextending yourself too much. I see this question in the chat about donation offerings. Let me answer that at the end. I'll come back to that for sure. In general, I think it's good to suggest a specific price. That's and then offer scholarships if needed. So here's the real price of this thing, and if you need a little help, email me, and then you can work something out with a person. That's my preferred way of doing things, because then there are people who can pay that price, and they will. And that's the real price. So, okay, back to what I was saying. Tend to your clients. That's the first thing. And while I mentioned that you don't have to be out, you can be out there sharing your message. It doesn't have to be grandiose, but I do recommend keeping in touch with clients, former clients, potential clients, and your community, like your email list, and tell them what's going on for you and how you can support them. Or if you are taking a step back, just communicate that to them, right? If you're being more internal, share a little bit about your process, right? It's going to connect them to your humanity, and it's going to give them permission to do the same. So if you've been hedging, like, oh, what do I say to my people? Just be honest. Just share where you're at. Like, everybody's really appreciating honesty and vulnerability right now, because we are all going through it in our own unique ways. Okay. So another good thing to do is to generate free content, right? So this is a great time to write blog posts, send them out to your community, post them on social media, build your community, right? Do a free class like this, get some more new folks on your list, make some videos, whatever it is, build your community, build your list now, get people on in free ways. And then you can be cultivating those relationships over time, and people will either buy now or buy later, right? Your people will appreciate it, yeah, and they're going to be, like I said, more likely to purchase from you either now if they have the funds, or later when they have them again. Let's see, you can circle back to former clients to see if they need your help. This is one of the easiest ways to kind of generate a little bit of business, because they're people who already know and trust and love you. You can also use this time to do all that stuff that you've been meaning to do forever. That's going to put you in a position to really be ready to go when the economy eventually picks back up again, which could happen in waves actually. And it could happen this summer, right? We don't know. I'm not predicting that, but things that are really useful to do in this time. These are things that I always teach folks, are like clarifying your niche and your message, for example. Like, write the copy, put the website together and your offers. This is all stuff that I teach in general, but it's like, you might have extra time to do this, right? Like build the foundations of your business, right? And then of course, learning how to go virtual. This is another way of creating resilience in your business. It's possible, like, maybe this summer or next, I don't know when this is all happening, right? But there could be a time when you could do in person and you could do virtual, or you could do all in person, but then we have to go back into shelter in place and then you need the online thing again. So it's a great time to develop an online offering and then be able to switch between the two and just be nimble depending on, on what's happening in our world over the next while. So that you're just kind of ready for anything, right? So tip number six, don't pivot, reframe. Okay, so bottom line with this one, a lot of people are talking about pivoting and everybody's got different definitions. So just, I'll explain what mine is. The bottom line with this one is I am really all about making business as easy as possible. Like the least amount of effort for the most amount of gain. Okay, so pivoting your business, which I hear pivot, I hear 180. Pivoting your business 180, that's not an easy thing to do, right? Maybe it will come to that, but let's try something else first. Instead of the complete pivot, let's talk about a reframe. So most likely your offers, the programs you offer, the work that you do is still totally valuable for folks. However, your target audience, your ideal clients, their top of mind problem has shifted in many cases, right? And so this means that you're gonna probably need to message things a little differently, right? And really speak to people's current challenges, which are slightly different than the ones they had before, but might just be an amplified version of the ones they had before. I'm finding that a lot with my clients. So the reality is that my coaching framework that I use, the 12 actions that I teach folks to have a nourishing business, they all still apply. It's all totally important and relevant, right? But, I'm reframing my message a little bit so people can really hear it, right? I'm doing that now. This is part of what I'm doing, and as offering this call, right? So there's like this reframing, remessaging that might need to happen without changing the offer itself, right? The other thing is that you might consider making some structural changes to your programs and offers to make it easier for people to join. And that's not just reducing the price. Like if you're going to reduce the price, I want you to reduce what's actually happening in the program too, so you don't get burnt out. Like make it easier for you to deliver also. Or you might decide to create a group offering, right? That's at a lower price point than your usual offerings. I don't want to give the illusion that it's easy to just start a group program unless you already have a following, some email lists or great, social media community or both. It's not as, it's harder to actually start a group program than it seems. Okay. So you might just want to restructure your one-on-one programs if that's the boat that you're in. And also, and this is just a guess, I'm testing this out myself, but you might need to provide smaller bites, more small bites before the big bite than you usually do. So this again is like a normal marketing strategy where you do something free, you do something small, and then you do something big. So people can kind of like stepwise get into that, get into the bigger investment. So my sense is that people might need another small step just to kind of make them feel really confident that they can invest in you at a time when their money might be a little riskier for them to spend, right? So our job is in marketing is to show people the value of what we offer and reduce the risk of investing. And so you might need to add in a little bit more for folks right now. You might not, but that's just a possibility, something that I'm looking at. So that is, I think that's that one. Yeah. I do. Yeah. I'll say again, though, not everybody is hurting for cash. So don't fall into that trap. Okay. The next one. So this is tip number 7. We're at 7 right now. This is what I'm calling the super beta. In other words, this is the time to forget perfection, folks. Okay. I've always been a big fan of beta programs, like, like it's like a prototype, or the first time you do a program, you let people know this is the beta round. It's a little less expensive. I'm going to be like kicking the tires on this. I'm a big fan of doing that because it helps you just get something out there without it needing to be perfect. And it gets you, people experience it, and then they can write testimonials, they can give you feedback about how to make it even more awesome. So right now, like, you might have an idea to remessage a program, restructure a program, or even make a new program, like a new smaller offer. And so the concept of the super beta is just like, really just do it, right? Just go for it. People are a lot more forgiving right now, right? Have you all noticed that? Like, you can kind of you can get away with things not being perfect right now. If you have something that people need that's going to help people, just get it out there. You don't need to have the website be perfect. You could have it, instead of a whole sales page, you could write up a Google Doc. I often do that with my programs. You know, just get it out there, right? Just drop the perfectionist crap and go out and serve, because your perfectionism is actually hurting the people who you could be helping, right? If you got out of your own way and just put the thing out there. I'm finding with a lot of my clients that this has become an opportunity for people to kind of finally do the thing they meant to do. Oftentimes that was like getting the thing online, you know, that they've been wanting to do for a long time. And now they're just like, I'm just doing it. I got to get it online. And there's way less, they're way less caught up in it being perfect. And it's because everybody is, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. That's the only problem with me and Zoom. I don't remember what I was saying now. Oh man. Anyways. Oh yeah, right. It's just easier to go out there and do that because people are more forgiving. Perfectionism. Thank you. Okay, awesome. So super beta, just go for it. Just do it. Don't worry if it's not perfect. It's such a great time to experiment. Okay. So tip number 8, I want you to understand how online selling is different from the selling that you might be used to if you haven't been doing online selling. Okay. For some of you, you've been doing this a long time and you know. There's good news and bad news. The good news is that there are way more people that can come to your stuff, right? I mean, I imagine I'm doing this virtual retreat. Like, clearly people outside of California will be able to come to this. That's awesome. The challenging part is that it's a huge sea of people, right? And there's a lot of noise out there on the internets, always, and in particular right now, because that's where everybody is. So what does this mean? This means that your niche, your message needs to be uber super clear, like even more clear. I have this thing, some of you have heard of this, called the roots of business. The roots of business are these like kind of foundational pieces, these foundational roots, things that support your business. I always say you can't fruit if you don't root. So these roots are things like your niche, like who you work with, your target audience, and what you help them with. And your message, like what you believe, like, and why you do the work the way that you do it. These are a couple, there's a few more, but those are kind of 2 of the basic foundational roots. And when this stuff is unclear, your business is like wildly like a tree without roots, right? It's just like, what do you say in your marketing if you don't know what your niche and your message are? So it's really important to get clear on these roots of business before you start putting stuff out to the world. Because if it's vague, it's just not going to be seen, right? You have to be super clear, super specific about what it is that you're helping people with right now and why you're doing it. So, it's going to get lost in the sea of internet stuff. The cool part is that what I'm finding, in my own business, and others also, is that there's a way that marketing is actually easier right now because our problems are so present, so identifiable. People are in need, and it's really easy to speak to people's experiences right now. So I'm finding I think that's why I'm finding a lot of flow in sharing, because I'm experiencing stuff in my own business. So I have a lot to share with other people about it. So people, your message, I'll speak for myself, my message, my point of view, why I do the work the way I do it, it's really like flowing out of me. And I'm finding that with other colleagues and clients too. There's something about the moment that it makes it easier to get out there and speak your mind and speak what you've been meaning to say for perhaps a long time. So there's a way that marketing is more energized and easier right now. But just know the bottom line is, like, if you're selling online, you have to niche even more clearly than if you had a not, a locally based business. All right, tip number 9. Okay. Excuse my French, but you need to get super fucking clear on your financial needs and your profit plan. Okay. So here's what's a big waste of stress: not knowing your actual financial reality and then worrying about it. Okay. So, and I will say the retreat's a day and a half. The second morning is this. It's all about this. Okay. Because it's so important. I almost put this one first, but I didn't. So I want you to be so totally clear on your budget. Like, I want you to know what you have, what you need, what's in the bank, what's not, right? Because a lot of people are stressing out. First of all, you could be stressing about nothing and things are fine, right? Or there might actually be money you need to earn, but like, you need to know about that, right? So I want you to there's 2 pieces to this. One is that I want you to have a profit plan, and I'll talk about what that is in a sec. And all while holding the possibility of everything turning out amazingly well in your business over the next few months and year. Also a backup plan, right? Because that's just the responsible thing to do with this much uncertainty. So you want to have a profit plan. You also want to have a backup plan. So the profit plan, and this is what I always do with clients, is like looking at what your offers and your programs are, figuring out exactly what you need of each one to hit your financial goal, how much it will cost, how many people you need, how often you need to sell it, month by month. Okay. And getting clear on this is always important. It's even more important now. And having an actual plan for like, how is this money going to come in? Right. And, it might mean even shifting your business model a little bit. Right. So, a lot of time I work with folks on, going from like a one-off session model to a program model, right? And this is a way where you get better results for your clients. You get to do more of the work that you're like really meant to do, like really, really help people in a powerful way and earn more money with more ease. So it might actually mean shifting your business model a bit, creating something new that's going to help you get to your goal faster and more efficiently than the way that you've been doing things, right? I'd love to show you how to do this, right? You might also want to explore things like, what's your low-hanging financial fruit? Like, what could you get going quickly or amplify something that you already have, if you need to. Former clients, like I said, that you could get back on board, offering a group program that you once offered, offering it again, or modifying it, growing it bigger. What are the things that are already created, easy to just like kind of put out there again and do instead of, a whole new thing, right? So you need to plan out your revenues. That's part A. And then create a contingency plan, right? Because we don't know how this is all going to turn out. And so a few things that you can do there, as far as the contingency plan, is looking, of course, at both your personal and your business budgets, and looking at where you can cut some expenses. It's a good time to just make sure you're not wasting money on things you don't need. Everything from like subscriptions you're not using to whatever. There's all sorts of stuff that if you're not paying close attention to your expenses that you might be able to just delete, right? That you actually don't need. Or you might be able to defer some things or say, oh, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to do it later. I'll talk about investments in a moment though. So one good news about all this is, I've mentioned this before, we're not paying for childcare anymore, right? So revenues might be reduced a little, but your expenses may also be reduced. So that's a bit of a boon. And then finally, there are some loans coming out. I'm sure people have heard, and most people here are going to be eligible for them. Some of them are actually like grants and are going to be forgiven. And there's a lot of money out there to help people. And you should take advantage of them. Even if you are still making money, there's uncertainty in the market and you can still apply for these grants. There's no shame in that. Even if you're making good money right now, you know what, life is really challenging, and maybe you want to be able to take a step back or care for your family, or maybe you're sick, or maybe a family member is sick, right? So I'm going to post a link for more info, but I would recommend, applying for these loans and grants if you can. Don't feel guilty about it, right? Don't feel shame about it either, right? Everyone These are for everybody. Everybody needs some self-care time right now. You can like let our government, help for once, and let them, let them support us a little bit. I'm gonna actually put this link in the chat right now. Everybody should file, yeah. So I just spoke to this amazing bookkeeper the other day, and she sent me this link, which I hope everybody checks out. It's very great explanation of how these loans and grants work. So, okay, so that's the money thing. I just like bottom line, I want to say it again. Like I want you to get clear because the clarity will help you stress out less. It'll help you know what you actually need to do and what you actually don't need to do, right? Where you can actually like take a step back. We're actually okay for the month. Actually, we're okay for till summertime. So I'm going to give myself a minute to chill out here, right? So yeah, get clear on that stuff for sure. So related, number 10, this is my tip number 10 is you can and should still invest in your business. Okay. This is not blanket for everybody, but for a lot of people, it does actually make sense to invest right now. Okay. The right kind of investments. And that's because you want to still be in good shape, like when things start to shake out and normalize, whatever that your new normalize. Like I said, if you let your business peter out, it's going to be hard to get it going again. But you want to be smart about your investments, obviously, right? So I decided to put off a big copywriting commitment that I made because things are in flux right now, and I'm doing a little shifting in my business. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I'm not quite ready to spend that money because I got to figure some stuff out, right? It would be kind of a waste to spend it now. So I'm putting that off for a little while, and then I'll see, okay, at this point, am I ready for that investment? I want to clarify my own plan, right? Before pouring a few grand into copywriting. On the other hand, I just started working with a new coach because I truly need support right now, in my business. And because I'm supporting so many other people as well, right? And, as with all of my business investments, I trust that the investment will come back to me. That's because I know that I'm willing to do the work, right? I know that I'm not just like investing in things willy-nilly. This is not to say that I've never made a poor investment in my business, but not too many at least. But I have, I've been thinking a lot about this because of the way the stock market's been. We can really see now that in a way, it's kind of nuts that we put our money and our savings into the stock market, right? Like, I don't know, like the stock market just like took away 20, 30, 40% of people's savings, right? So it's a pretty risky investment that many of us just make without even thinking about, right? And yet we don't invest in ourselves and our own businesses, which have like a huge potential to actually, in a good year, the stock market's going to give you like an average of 10% return, right? I think over time it's more like 5 or 6%, right? I would venture to say that your business actually has a better return of investment than investing in the stock market. Although right now is a good time to invest in the stock market because it's like buying stock on sale. So if you can do it. But I would actually venture to say that you and your business are a better bet than the stock market. So take a loan out for your business growth if you need to. If you trust yourself that you're going to that you can accomplish things, and you have a good guide, like it's a good investment, a good coach, a good consultant, whatever, and you have a lot of motivation, then I recommend going for it, making the investment, right? If you don't have that stuff, if you're feeling like really like, I don't know right now, well, then that's probably not the best time to invest. But if you're feeling like, no, I want to make things happen, that's a really wonderful time to invest. And again, I'm never a coach who's like, oh, you should put this big expensive program on your credit card so you can pay for it. Like that's a shitty thing to do in general. Like there's a lot of coaches that kind of, encourage people to put like huge ticket programs on a credit card when they don't have the money. That's unethical. But right now we're in a particular moment where a loan or a grant or something, I guess let's talk about loans specifically, could actually really help you grow your business in the long run. And that can be like a perfectly legitimate thing to do is to use some money from a business loan to help you grow your business, to help you keep your business strong, thriving during this time and beyond this time. Okay, number 11. I realize I'm going past 45 minutes of talking, but I guess I had a lot to say. So, but I can stay on later for calls as well. Tip 11. So this one is have fun innovating, have fun envisioning a new future, right? The big bonus of being an entrepreneur, especially like having a smaller business, is that you can shift and change really quickly, right? You can do what you're called to do. You can do what's needed. You can change that in any given moment, really. I wouldn't say change it too much, but you have that ability, right? Like you don't need to run a nonprofit, like the board has to approve things, right? You can't just be like, oh, we're changing the whole course of everything, right? No, you're a small business. You get to just do it. So you can be nimble, right? So there's an opportunity to create new offerings. Like I said, I've seen a lot of my clients taking the opportunity to finally create that online program they've been talking about forever. I know Avery's here taking their yoga teaching online. If I can use an example, like she just started making more money online than her original studio business, right? So that's cool because she acted fast and was able to like really take advantage of what's going on right now and just do the things she was planning on doing anyways, right? So that's pretty cool to be able to be nimble like that, right? And speaking of creativity, right? I had to also get creative in how I usually run retreats, physical, in-person, in nature, right? So the retreat that I'm offering in a couple of weeks, I just like, well, how can I get people out into nature still, right? So I've designed it in a way where I can still, guide people in a process and then send people out on their own into nature and then come back and sort of debrief it, harvest the wisdom back on Zoom. So it's a moment to get creative with how you can do your work in a way that you did not do before. So yeah, and then I'll say one more thing. You can also do that with kind of physical health practices too, right? If you can't do a physical thing with somebody in person, you can send them off on, to do it and then kind of talk about how it went afterwards. So yeah, and then finally, I'll just say on the innovation front, and perhaps even more importantly, is that in my greatest hope and dream and vision, the world that comes out of this is going to be more equitable, more just, more collaborative, and just better than our kind of current fucked up economic system. And so this is actually a time to look at like, where can we be more creative with our business models? How can we collaborate more? What can we do to make things more accessible and still take care of ourselves? So it's just it's a big time of creativity and innovation for what I hope is a new and better world that we'll see after this. I keep saying after, but I don't know what after really is, but I think you know what I mean. So, oh my gosh, Hannah started Facebook group lives every day, 1.5 weeks, 730 members so far. That's amazing. And people are sending you money. That's fabulous. I love it. I love it. Cool. Okay. So great. I want to look at all the chat because I was kind of looking at my notes. Nature retreat. Yeah, cool. No, I want you're all invited to the nature retreat too. I'll talk more about that. Yeah, awesome. This is so sweet. Cool. All right. Tip number 12. This one's short. Double or even triple up on your self-care. Okay. Shit is intense and we need to take care of ourselves even more now, right? Tech is not our enemy. Obviously, it's helping us a lot right now, but it's also really easy to get, way overloaded. So the one thing that everybody can still do, hopefully, is go outside. Unless you live I actually talked to a friend who's in Mumbai in India. Actually, they can't go outside because it's just so crowded there. So I know that where I live in California, I was like, oh, it just broke my heart. I know that where I live in California, I can still go outside. Maybe it's just even your backyard or just a walk in your neighborhood. But for all the hours that you spend on Zoom, like commit to spending a specific amount of time outside, or just go outside. Like yesterday, I just went outside to eat my lunch, instead of saying it's just more outdoor time to kind of counteract the technology. And of course, there are other things, right? There's so much online. I've been doing online yoga. My friend ran like an online Zumba class this morning that I missed, but I meant to do it. But all sorts of cool ways to take care of yourselves right now, virtually, like in person, but virtually. I'll just say like one more thing that I'm doing that feels helpful in my household is we decided that not to start any new Netflix series or any TV series, and only watch like documentaries or movies, so that we wouldn't be like working out and addicted to a show every single night. So I don't know. I'll just say that's something that we're experimenting with here. But I'd be curious too, you maybe pop in the chat, what are the things that you're doing to stay healthy and sane, and tell us what you're doing, and show us, yeah, just inspire us. Yeah, cool. Hiking, walks in my neighborhood. Yes, nature every day. Woohoo! So good. Oh my God. That's so great. Awesome. Okay, number 14, get support, okay? Find support with friends, colleagues, for free, for trade, create a little mastermind group. I just started with a new peer mastermind group. It's awesome. Really excited about that. You can join a group coaching program, like one of my groups, which, provides you with coaching and like an instant circle of biz sisters. My groups are all women. And I will say the groups that I have that are already running, people are super grateful to have each other, super grateful to have the kind of support that they have right now. So I know some of these folks are on the call today, and we've just been having really powerful coaching sessions lately, because everyone's really feeling so much, and we're able to share and support each other and normalize the craziness of what's happening. So just like getting support, super important, especially if you are supporting people, which I imagine most of you are, then you need support for yourself, right? It's imperative right now that you find some kind of support. I want us all to get to the other side of this strong, right? And it's going to be way easier if we do that together. If you reach out and find people that you can count on. And in your business, that looks like, who can you call up and talk to about the challenges that you're having in your business and how to move through them, right? Really important right now. Okay, tip number 14. This one's really simple. I want you to be super easy on yourself. I want you to stop expecting yourself to be as productive as you were before, and stop expecting yourself to be able to handle everything. I'm talking to myself at the same time, okay? This is hard, right? And it's changing all the time. So like new factors every day, right? The brain fog is normal. I'm like impressed with anybody who's like running at a greater than 70% capacity right now, okay? So just compassion, like put your hand on your heart right now. You just really just feel your heart, feel your belly, whatever part of your body needs some love, and just remember, just tell yourself, I love you. Give yourself some compassion. Just be gentle, just be gentle and kind. Okay. This is not easy, right? This is wild what's happening right now. Okay. So my final tip, take a drink of water first. Okay. This is like a multi-part tip, so the biggest one for last. There are things that you need to do right now in your business, and I'm going to be 100% honest. This is the stuff that's no different than what I have ever taught, right? And I've mentioned a lot of the stuff I've talked about is stuff that we always do in business coaching. But the stuff that I'm going to share right now isn't really different than what I've ever taught. It's not special for coronavirus. This is the basic stuff that creates a resilient business, and a business that nourishes you on all the levels, right? Like from financial to energetic to feeling on purpose, all of it. Okay. So the first thing is really deep alignment and a vision for what you want to create, and a powerful plan to see it through. Okay. It's the first one. Second one, a business model with a stable revenue plan that's easeful, efficient, supports those visions and desires that you have for your life, right? And doesn't burn you out. Okay, so there's a vision and a business model that supports the vision. Deep roots, I talked about this, the whole roots of business. Clarity on what your business is and does, what your business doesn't do, right? Who you work with and who you do not. A powerful and bold message that polarizes and makes a real statement. This is, and this one's a lot about having really good business boundaries, right? being asked even more is being asked of us right now, right? And so there's a chance that you're over giving or being loose on your boundaries even more right now, like that you're working with people you don't usually work with, or people that don't have enough money, and all these different things, and that stuff can all be draining and burn you out. So deep roots, clarity, boundaries. That's the third one. A totally unique framework and methodology for the work that you do, right? So this is like you have gifts, and you need to share those gifts with the world, right? And so a framework and a really powerful offer is what's going to bring all of your gifts to the table. Sorry for that. It's the Wednesday at noon. What's it called? Siren thing, morning thing. It's the test. So having a methodology, a framework that you guide your clients through is super, super important for, oh my gosh, it's so distracting. Sorry. Super important for creating a stable business model, and doing work that you love that's really, truly transformational for your clients. The next thing is having a really solid marketing machine. And, I'm all like about nature, and so I kind of laugh a little bit when I talk about the marketing machine, but here's the reality. People get really emotional about marketing, and it's actually something that, that you can that if you systematize it, it gets so much easier. So having one main marketing strategy, right? And having a regular promotional plan that you're like set up to do every week, right? And then finally, getting your business systems in order, right? Getting all that stuff that you've been trying to get set up in your business so that it's easier, getting that done, hiring an assistant to help you finally, right? Getting your legal and financial shit in order, right? Like no more wiggly contracts, not knowing exactly how much you're earning, right? So these are kind of the general, business resilience actions that need to be taken anyways, and even more important now, right? The only difference is that in these times, I actually believe, I'm gonna be totally honest, I believe you have to want it even more. You have to really want to make your business work, okay? You have to want it to be a successful entrepreneur. You have to really want it, we're facing new challenges now, right? But I really, truly believe that if you are curious and you're creative and you think entrepreneurship is fun, like I think this is really fun, right? And you're committed to making something work and you're willing to stick with it, then I think you really will come through this intact, and yes, even stronger, right? But it's not going to just happen, right? Like that, it's not going to just happen like sticking with business as usual, right? We need to make strategic plans. We also need to be flexible and nimble with those plans. We need to try things and not worry about failing and trying again. So I think that's the key right now. It's all the same stuff, but it's like with an extra, an extra punch, like an extra, like, yeah, I'm going to do this, right? And again, we don't all have the energy for that in this moment, but I do feel like things are shifting and fluctuating. So, look for that energy of like, yeah, I'm going to be creative and make this work, because we do have that opportunity right now. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. Like, I guess what I wanted just to share with you is that I would love to support you in doing all this, right? So I wanted to share about the retreat for a minute. And then we'll dive into our business coaching session. Okay. So, I put the link in the chat before. I'll pop it in again for those of you who weren't here. I'm really excited about this. It's going to be on April 15th and 16th. It's also on my website. If you're listening to this, it's called the Resilience Retreat. And it's 1.5 days. It's totally virtual, but like I said, you will be going on a guided solo journey for part of it outdoors. There's going to be dance and movement breaks. We're going to have a guided visualization, lots of connection. It's going to be awesome. I do really similar stuff live, and I'm excited to experiment with it virtually. So you'll get to find calm and ground and create an abundance mindset for your business with my colleague, Khadija, who's a money coach and business coach. You'll have space to share your hopes and your fears about our current situation. All your feelings are welcome. You'll have time to spend time alone in nature to clear your head and gather wisdom from Mama Earth that you're probably not getting staring at your computer screen. You'll get business strategy support from me. You will be able to clarify, well, help you, try to clarify how you can be of greatest service at this time, while still earning money. And then, like I said, on that second morning, we're going to be getting super clear on what you need to earn, making your profit plan and your contingency plan, right? There will be spreadsheets. There are really good spreadsheets. The spreadsheets are worth the price of admission. You'll use them forever. And then you'll get to connect with other like really amazing women entrepreneurs and community. So yeah, there are 3 price levels depending on what's going on in your business right now. And if you sign up by tonight, and you'll get an email reminder about this, I'll put you in a raffle for a free coaching session with me. That's a $300 value. And a cool free thing that I made to help you clarify your powerful and relevant message during this time, right? So this is super helpful if you've been trying to communicate with your audience, but you're not quite sure, you're getting like a little stuck or tongue-tied, you don't know what to say. So that's another little bonus, is crafting your powerful and relevant message, during these uncertain times. So, okay, so that's the retreat. And then, awesome. Okay, yes, great. Julie, we share the transcript in Zoom. Yeah, they do save. I saw that we can save the transcript, so I'll see if I can send out a link to the transcript too when I send out the recording. Yeah, it looks really like funky, but I'll try to do that. Oh, and then one quick thing before we dive in. I do also, as I mentioned, I have group coaching programs, and I have a couple spots opening up. So if you want like, real attention on your business from me and be in like an awesome community of women, you can fill out the application form on my website. And I'll put that link here too. And oops. So if you want to talk with me about whether, we'd be a good fit to work together, then I invite you to do that. So deep breath. That was a lot. Thanks for hanging in there. I thought it'd be 45 minutes. It was over an hour. So, thanks everybody. Oh, good tip, Catherine. Okay. Awesome. So if you have to go, totally understand. Someone asked, I'm rebuilding a business that didn't have solid roots. Do you help with this? Yeah, totally. I mean, that's what I do with people anyways. So generally I work with people who like have a business and it's like kind of working, they're making money, but it's like a little all over the place. And they really need to solidify those roots. And that is really the key to making the business more easeful, making it easier to market and sell and communicate about the work that you do. So yeah, that's like what I do with everybody for sure. Yeah, you're so welcome. Appreciate you all being here. I'm going to stay on now and we're going to do Q&A. I'm going to continue to record. So just know that if you do ask a question, it is going to be part of the recording. And if you wanted to ask it anonymously, you could put it in the chat privately. I suppose that could potentially work. Yeah, you're welcome, everybody. So yeah, feel free to hop off if you need to, and then stick around and we will do Q&A right now. So before I open up for questions, I want to just explain how this is going to work. I want to answer as many people's questions as possible. So please be brief in your explanation, in your question. Try to just give me the little nugget of the question, not a lot of backstory. And if I need a little backstory, I will ask you for it. And also don't be offended if I, if I try to like move you along, because again, there are quite a few people here. In fact, I'm going to put it on gallery so I can see quite a few people here still. So I want to make sure that people get their questions answered. Awesome. Okay. So if you want to ask a question, yeah, actually, how are we going to do this? Because there's 4 pages of people. So, oh, there's a raise your hand button. Of course, I knew that. And I can see if you have a question, yeah, hit the raise hand thing. Like I see Sweta has a question, and I'll just flip through this and I'll find you. And if I miss you, then you can just unmute and be like, hey, Julie, me. But if you don't know how to do the raise hand thing, where's the raise hand button? Where's the button? It's next to where you go to participants, hand raise. How do I explain? Can someone where to find it?
Yeah, go to participants.
Yeah.
And then you should see the raise hand button under the participants. You won't see it, Julie, because you're hosting.
Right. Okay, cool. So thanks for helping me with that. It's funny, I use Zoom all the time, but I don't usually have like this many people on it. So thanks, Gabby. And hi. Nice to see your picture. Okay, so Sweta, unmute yourself and ask away.
Okay, so my question is, how do you find your ideal clients online, and tips on connecting with them, virtually? Because I love in person, and that's how I've been connecting with my people, and I find that my online world is not my ideal people. So I work with highly driven professionals, and my online sphere is all personal growth entrepreneurs. And so I just want to know how I could kind of stay focused on who I'm speaking to, and how do I, connect with them from a marketing perspective and also energetically in this new form.
Yeah, thank you. So marketing online, in a sense, it's really no different from like regular marketing. The first thing is, you have clarity on who your people are, and where you usually find those people in the real life world. And the question is, where are those people hanging out online? And so if you think about your ideal client, and if they're, professional, high achieving folks, it's like, where are those people hanging out online? And so what you might need to do is like, I like actually really like just making a list of, so here's the thing. In order to market online, you again have to be really clear on the person, right? And so once you know who the person is, you could probably make a list of 10, 15, 20 places that this person tends to hang out online. There might be like business associations, certain, groups on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever these people are hanging out virtually. And then you start planting yourself in those places. So it's really not so different. It's just a little different way of thinking about it, and finding those people, and finding where they hang out online. So I can give another example. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I guess the question that I have is, in person, it's like, yeah, you go to a networking event, for example, right? And but I don't know how to engage online and kind of say what I do, or maybe like if I feel like I could serve somebody that doesn't feel creepy, like.
Oh, like how to just casually meet people online, because you can't just like casually meet them.
Yeah, it feels just different online, because it feels like I'm trying to sell my business or something. But if I could really, I don't know, it just feels energetically different to me than in person.
Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah, it's totally, first thing is I've always done lots of, and you probably do this too, is like when I meet somebody in a Facebook group, I'll kind of ping them privately and say, hey, let's do a connect. Let's do like a Zoom conversation where I learn about your business, you learn about mine. We see how we could potentially help each other. So I would say still like just, if you're in a group, just doing kind of individual outreach to people who you feel like you could be, good supporters of each other's businesses. The other thing that I know that I saw something online, and I'll try to find it, but I think what could be really useful is creating some virtual networking events, where like the intention is to share about our businesses, because I usually do an in-person networking event, networking in nature. And so, I'm sure other people have thought of this. So I think we need to look out for those online networking opportunities. I think also just not being afraid to sell, still being really clear about your message and how you help people. That's the key, because if you're putting that out there, then the people who need to see that and want to be, need that service, or they're not going to feel like it's icky when you reach out and say, hey, can I help? And you can be honest too, like, hey, I know this is sort of weird. I wish I were meeting you in person, but like, hey, here we are. And, do you want to chat about this?
Okay.
That's my thinking.
I guess I just have to get over the awkwardness and just try it and have a win, and then that'll gain momentum.
Yeah, just try it. And I would say, yeah, just be vulnerable, just share like, hey, this is sort of awkward, but I'm doing it. And this is where we're all at right now. And like I said, I think people are a lot more forgiving and if you just be yourself, and just say, I wish I could meet you in person, but hey, here we are.
Okay.
So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't want to feel like a Facebook stalker. A lot of the groups, yeah, no soliciting. Yeah, so you have to find Facebook groups where you're allowed to promote your stuff, right? You can't just go in there into a Facebook group and promote your thing. However, you know, what Facebook groups, if you can be really helpful in a Facebook group without, you know, to say like, hey, I'm going to just answer people's questions in this group. If you have expertise in that area, that's a great way to start connecting with people. And if you respond to someone's post and they're like, oh my gosh, that was so helpful, then you can PM them and talk to them. You know, that's how you make entrees in the Facebook group world. You don't just like blah, blah, promote your stuff. You make connections, you help people, you just be generous without any thought of like, oh, this is going to come back to me. But ultimately, you know, when you're generous, like things come back to you. So.
Awesome. Thank you. I just got an idea from what you just shared. So thank you.
Oh, cool. Maybe pop it in the chat so we can all see it. Awesome. How about Sophia?
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, it's my first time meeting you online. I've read some of your posts, and so yeah. Anyway, I'm really, I don't know. I love that you've done some activist work before, because that's kind of what I'm into as well. But I have two questions actually. One is, it feels really vulnerable. It's around, I'm sure many people feel vulnerable. I'm not just saying I'm the one, but it's around money story. And when you start talking about spreadsheets and contingency plans, budget, not so bad. I just start freaking inside. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, when you do work around that, do you offer some compassionate methodology?
Yes. Well, yes, 100%. Yeah, you're not alone in that, especially right now. The way that I structure this retreat is that the first day we're going to be sort of settling in like the reason I invited my colleague Khadija on is because she's really good at helping people just trust and feel okay with money and okay with what's happening. And so the idea is to kind of build up some personal resilience in that realm and some acceptance, and then move into the financial stuff from there. Like I wouldn't just do that like right off the bat first, if we hadn't, you know, if we weren't, yeah. So it's structured that way. And then also I'm compassionate in terms of like, I'll give people a chance to share when we're doing that. You know, if stuff is coming up, there's room for that. You know, we'll address it as we go for sure. You're right. The money mindset piece is super important right now. I had a call for all my clients yesterday where I brought a friend, a colleague on who is like more of a money coach, and she just helped everybody be with all the challenging feelings that are happening right now. So yeah, I feel you. And I just try to be as compassionate as I can about it.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, because your retreat sounds totally interesting, and nature has also been a thing that scares me because I'm alone in this. It's just, I don't know why, but other people are really into it, and yeah, that's been a thing. So having a virtual kind of container to go out and actually be in nature and come back, that sounds really fascinating to me.
Awesome.
And then the other question is around free and overgiving. And because of my having been a solo parent, there's been tons of overgiving, and of course capitalism rests on, you know, mother's free labor, right? So and that's been my part of my trauma work, is not overgiving and giving myself away. So in a situation where, like right now, what I've noticed is people are coming to me for, I think what they hope for is free offerings, free things, right? And some of them are very interesting, like they're men asking for feminist resources because they feel it breaking down. And I stepped in with one guy, I hadn't heard from him for a long time. And I just said, well, that would be a coaching call actually, and I'll give you a reduced rate on that. He said he'd give me some voice notes, and then I haven't heard from him. So it's kind of, I guess, on the one sense, I'm going, oh, should I just have given stuff to him, resources, or because we haven't had a relationship in a long time, any kind, and I've never done work with him before,
Right.
Or should I have just said, yeah, sure, you know what, just give me those voice notes and let's just go for this. It's actually a really high stakes situation that he's in. So I just felt like, oh, this would be lengthy, right? So the balance between over giving, free giving at this time, because that's been my pattern, right? And that's the pattern I'm trying to break.
Right. Yeah, it's a great question. Like, first of all, I think good for you for holding your boundary and just saying, like, I saw Catherine nodding her head, like just saying like, no, that's, I get paid for that, you know? I mentioned this before kind of quickly. I do think it's important to keep like the regular price for your thing. Like it's still that price and there's still people that can pay that. And that you can always say, you know, talk to me if you have a, you know, an extreme financial need right now. And then you get to decide on a case by case basis, what
Right.
feels good for you.
Right.
Can you do this session for $100 instead of $200? Does that feel good inside for this particular situation and this person's need? Okay, you know what? Yeah, I want to do that. Great.
Yeah.
But you're not, it's not like you've reduced prices for everybody. You've just decided to give it away
Yeah.
to everybody.
That's part of the money story thing right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see you working on the boundaries though. And that's great. It's super important to continue to do that. And I would say that if you wanted to, like what I see a lot of people doing right now is creating for people who have the kind of clientele that need a lot of help. Like maybe you could put all those resources together once and charge a small amount for it. But then whenever somebody asks you for help and they want your one-on-one support, like, no, I can't do that right now because you can't pay for it. But here's what I got for you for free or for $50.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. You're welcome. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Okay. Let's see. That was Sophia. Sierra Wagner. My daughter's name is Sierra. See, where are you?
Hi.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hi, yes. So earlier you talked, I'm thinking about creating a new offering for like a wellness challenge for the next 3 weeks and leading people through that. And I was like, wow, I'm not in a place where I'm going to make a new sales page and I'm going to make this big new offering. It's going to be smaller and faster. But you mentioned a Google Doc. And like, how can you take this? I know how to do a bigger program. I've done that. I'm trying to shrink it, but still make it quality.
Yeah.
And can you talk about that in the Google Doc or whatever you might recommend?
So are you talking about the how to structure the program itself or how to the marketing part?
Well, I guess either one, but I guess how to simplify the marketing and also any tips on the structure.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so sometimes like I was saying, it might be helpful for people to have a smaller bite, like a shorter term commitment. The key is that you want to still earn good money from it, right? So it's not about you doing a ton more. It's like, oh, what could I do that's actually like, if it's going to be a lower cost, then it's actually less work for me too, right? So what can you put on automate? What resources do you already have that, because it sounds like you've done other stuff before, so you probably have a lot of resources you could already use for this program. So just like repurposing, you know, just taking a chunk of a bigger program, like the first third of it and be like, this is what we're doing, right? So as far as restructuring, you could also give people an option to do group and give them an option to do a private session with you or something like that, right? So if people want to have, you know, then you have that opportunity for the people that do have additional funds. You know, there's kind of like 2 tiers of pricing, the group and then the group plus some private. So that's a little bit on structure. I can speak more to that in a minute if you want. And then as far as marketing, you know, when I talked about the Google Doc, I actually have my main program is actually not on my website yet. I'm a little slightly embarrassed, but I use what I do is I actually just have it on a Google Doc right now because it was in beta mode and I just it hadn't been fully refined. And so I'm just sending people to that Google Doc instead of making a full, you know, page on my website and having my assistant make it all pretty and perfect. And so it's still a web link that they can go to, and you can still put your PayPal link in there, your buy link or whatever. But I just don't make a full page out of it. I think you're really smart to be like, how can I just get this out there in a simple way? You can make a Facebook event of it. You could, there's other ways that you can get it out there as well. That don't require making a full web page for it. Is that what you were looking for?
That's helpful. And I have like a longer program. I was wondering whether I want to like take and just pull some of that material into this shorter thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to make it really financially accessible because there's like, so it's like I don't know whether to give that much.
Oh,
If
okay.
we're
So
talking
like,
about different, go ahead.
what's your business?
I'm a yoga therapist.
Okay. And what's in a nutshell, what's your bigger program all about?
6-week yoga for aging gracefully with 12 videos and coaching calls and things like
Okay. And what's the price point on that?
Well, it's 300 because it's pretty much all pre-made except for the coaching calls.
So that to me sounds totally reasonable thing to still be just selling. I don't know that you even need an additional shorter program because that's not a huge commitment as it is, and it's not a huge price point. What you might do, if anything, to just get more people seeing it, is do like a one session thing where people get a taste of you.
I've done that.
You've done that. A paid one?
No, not a paid one. I give away one of the videos
Okay.
for newsletter signups.
Got it. Okay. Well, so what is it that makes you think you need to do a smaller program than what you have?
Because I think a lot of people are not going to do 6 weeks right now. They can't think that far ahead. And 3 weeks is a little bit more of like, and it's a daily, it's kind of like it's a group, it's more of like more people, so more of like a community versus the bigger offering is going to be less people. And I just want something that pulls in community and is like an easy way for me to reach people I don't know.
Gather up some more folks that are for your email list that could be potential buyers of the bigger program. Okay. So I think that you should still try to just kind of use your normal marketing strategy to fill that program. I think I think that's still possible. I don't think 6 weeks is so long that people can't envision that. In fact, I mean, in California, they just told us we're officially shelter in place till May 3rd, right? So that's going to be happening everywhere. So I actually really believe you can do that. And maybe we could talk about like how to get more people, on your list so you can get them, maybe it's doing this, figuring out a different free thing or a way that's more interactive and group oriented with you, more of a class that people could take that's a one-off and then they step into that.
Oh, okay.
So because I don't know, it's already fairly low price point, low commitment. If you said 6 months and $3,000, I might have said something a little different, I think what you're selling is a reasonable thing to commit to right now. And yeah, let's maybe design a one-off, like very interactive live thing with you that's at a low price point, $20 or something. And then from there, people can go into the 6-week thing.
Okay,
That's what I would suggest. It'll be less work for you too. I'm really suggesting to all my clients, as much as you can, keep your original programs intact and just change your marketing strategy a little bit for the times. And just keep on doing what you're doing. For some people, again, that have like maybe 6 or 12-month programs, I am suggesting a shorter amount because it's a little harder to see that far ahead.
Right. Yeah, I could talk to you for a long time more, but I don't want to take up everybody else's time.
We'll see if we have more time at the end, but let's, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Tresca. Hi, Tresca. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay.
I unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Yay, it's so good to be on this call. Everything's been really helpful. I'm excited also, there's going to be a recording of it available. I feel like I would love to rewatch to kind of sink it all in. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I guess my primary question is, and I may have missed this if you kind of touched on it throughout, but my offering right now is like a 4-week breathwork journey that I do with individuals. And I recently, in my latest newsletter, just sent out saying that I was offering sliding scale and that I was also just like to acknowledge everybody who doesn't have work, and also kind of shifting the structure, so allowing people to also just book one session at a time. And I've found that, like, I got lots of people booking single sessions, and then I will also be doing group breath work, which will be, you know, its own pricing, and that'll just be like a one session here. And I'm feeling like a little bit like, I guess like what I'm trying to, I would just love your feedback on like whether or not I should kind of just create a program that's still 4 weeks, that's more accessible for the folks who are looking for a private session, or like semi-private, you know, but can't afford my full rate. And I'm basically thinking about making a program that's 4 weeks long, and it maybe is like $40, and you do have to commit to 4 sessions, and it's maybe limited to like 10 or 12 people, and having that be it, because I'm just feeling like, I don't know, I would just love your feedback on like pricing things out and like where to put my energy, because I definitely, everybody has wanted to do basically one sliding scale session, which isn't like it serves me quite as well in my
Right. And what's happening after they do the one session? If people come back for another one, or it's too early to tell?
It's kind of early to tell. I'm hoping to like definitely, I think everyone will probably do the group breath work, you know, but that's like a much lower price point. So yeah.
I still, similarly to Sierra, I believe what your offer isn't such a huge commitment that you should not sell it. Like, there are definitely people who can do that. And I wouldn't like omit it from your repertoire. I do think, so are you, I forget, are you talking on people, are they just signing up for the 4-week thing online? Or are you talking to those folks?
So I was doing a consult call, like a free 20-minute consult call. And then from there, I would book the 4 sessions with them.
So what you can do is, if you're talking to people on the phone anyways, you can put out the offering. And then this is what I always teach. Like, let's say you have a 6-month program, you're on the phone with someone, they're really an ideal client, and for some reason the 6 months, they can't commit to the 6 months, whether it's money or something else. So then you have like a back pocket thing. It's not like advertised on your website. You're like, oh, I have a 3-month program actually. That is like kind of, in the business world, it's like a downsell, but I call it a back pocket offer. It's not something you market, but it's something that's there for somebody who can't do the full thing. So you can, if you're on the phone with someone and they're like, I'd love to do this, but I just can't commit to the 4 weeks. You'd be like, well, you can commit. How about just 2 sessions, instead? Or, you know what I mean? You have something else that's available to those folks if they can't do the full 4 weeks. So that would be one suggestion. The other thing, I like the idea of you doing a group breathwork program. I just feel like that price point's going to be a little bit low, and I don't know how. I mean, I know you're on Instagram, and I know you're growing your list. I don't know where you're at right now with all of that since last time we spoke. But the group programs are harder to fill, obviously, than one-on-one, because you need like 10 people to all start on the same day. So I just want to make sure you're being real about that. And maybe, like, if you think it's realistic to get 6 or 8 people in a group, then you're going to want to have a higher price point. What I want you to do is go back and like, what do I need to earn right now? What's going to serve me? Like, this is why the numbers are so important, is instead of just being like, well, maybe it'll be 40, maybe it'll be 60, maybe it'll be 90. It's like, what do I need to earn? And then setting up the business model that's going to get you to that. So it's this many private sessions. And if I do a group and everybody pays $100 for the month and there's 10 people in it, great, that's $1,000. Okay, I needed 3,000 for the month, so that's a third of it, right? So you're not just kind of picking out of nowhere. The other thing is, if you do something that's lower cost, I would invite everybody to think about allowing more people on. So I know that there is something important about intimacy, and small groups are wonderful. And there's something, like, if you're going to offer something that's low cost, I would invite you to think about how you can sort of scale the intimacy, still have it feel really connected. And even if there's 20 people on the call, because if people are only paying you $20 or $40, but you can use Facebook and Instagram to your advantage and get a whole bunch of people signed up, like awesome. That could actually earn you a chunk of change if you're willing to go beyond that like 12-person limit. And if you're going 12 people or 6 people, it has to cost more. Otherwise, you know, it's just not going to add up for the time that you spend.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, okay. So I get in my closing like reflection. So I guess I'm kind of like waiting to basically schedule one group breath work and just kind of like advertise through my normal things, and then seeing how many people show up, you know, to like a class essentially, and then kind of basing like the numbers of that to kind of see if I want to then offer like a 4-week course that I'm saying like, okay, you know, you do have to commit to 4 sessions, but it's like semi-private. It's more intimate than like a group of, you know, however many people come to the breathwork class. Maybe it's like 20, you know, this is only going to be a group of 10 women. It is, you know, like it's not as much as my full offering, but it's more than just, you know, a one-off group class. And then there's like the 4-session commitment. So I can like leverage my time a little bit, but not be just giving away these like one-off free sessions that doesn't like allow me to really cultivate like a relationship with them really past that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a great plan. You could also, like I was saying to Sierra, like you could also add an option for a private, or you could include a private breathwork session with you also as part of that. You know, it's 4 groups and 1 private or something like that, and up the price point a little bit there.
Hear that back.
So, but so you have to look at how much you're charging and how many hours you're spending on it, and not just the hour that you're doing the work with people, but all the, you know, the preparation and the debriefing and the emails and the whatever else you're doing to support people, because groups are actually a lot more work than individual coaching. They are. So you have to really don't go too low in your pricing. And again, I'm going to come back to the marketing is like, if you're really on with what your clients' needs or your potential clients' needs are right now and how they're a little bit different, like you work with people on like anxiety and like coming, like it's perfect, like, and breathing, like what you're doing right now is like so important and could be so helpful to people. So I just want to make sure you're shifting your message, like to really speak to the moment and like what people are feeling right now. And that's what's going to really draw people in and be like, oh my God, I need this.
Yeah. Okay. That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hannah and then Tanya.
Hey.
Hi.
So my question for you revolves around, I don't know if you remember when we talked our one time that we've talked, that I run a program that's based on seasons.
Right.
And there's a start date for each season. So I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on creating rolling admissions, because my next program doesn't start until June 7th. And I am just like, people need me now. Like very clearly, like Ayurveda is like what people need right now, because like we can't just expect the medical system to host all of our imbalances and
Totally, yeah.
Well,
yeah, yet again, I think we have all these things in common. I'm figuring out the same thing.
Are you switching too? Okay.
Well, I'm trying to figure that out, because I usually do a day-long retreat and then every quarter, every season.
Right.
And I love it when everybody starts together at the retreat, and that's how I like it. You know? But I'm like, ooh, I want the rolling. So I'm navigating this myself. It's just about being creative. Honestly, it's like kind of for me getting unattached to like, this is the way that I did it and it has to be, and what can I structurally shift so that somebody could be welcomed in every time, anytime. And so it's like, what's the welcome? What's the onboarding process? I know for me, I'm actually going to record one of the retreats. And so people will still do a day-long retreat when they enter in, but it just won't be with everybody, but they'll still get the most of the benefit of doing that, right? For yours, it might be different. It's like, what are the 3 videos you need to create, or the onboarding process, so that they can just melt into the group more easily. And then, so that's one thing. Another thing is to start, like I talk about my rolling admissions groups like as like a community as opposed to a program. And that I think it's important to manage people's expectations a little bit. Like if they're expecting a very like closed, personal, intimate cohort, and like privacy in that way, that might, it's important to be upfront that this is a community, there's people that flow in and out, and we welcome them. And so every time that you have a call and there's a new person, like, hey, hi to our new people, but they've already like watched a video before that, so they know like how the call is structured, and they're not asking on the call like, wait, how does this work? And you're explaining it when everybody else has already been there for like a month. So
Right.
it's really just thinking about what do you need to give that person to get them up to speed, so that they can really start anytime.
Yeah,
Literally.
so I've started building like a prep school of, yeah, those kind of like onboarding videos. But I think too, the piece of I think one of my fears is that the people that are already in my program, there's 32 women already in my program, that they're going to be like, hey, what? Like now people are just coming in whenever, you know, so it is that changing the expectations piece that I love you just spoke to.
So here's what I would say. I'm really doing the same thing. So what I would say is share with those women, I'm making a little bit of a shift in my business model to respond to what's happening. I'm seeing that people need this. I know that we originally said this was going to be us. I am going to let new people into this group. They need it. And I would like really, invite people to share any concerns that they have. I think easier to just do that one-on-one rather like you don't want to have like a group conversation about that, but ask people to share any concerns, and or you can also think about what you could offer your original people as a little bonus to say, hey, I acknowledge that this was just going to be us, so I'm going to give everybody an extra of this, or an extra 32 people is a lot, so you're probably not going to do extra private session with all of them, but something. My groups are a little smaller, so I could probably, I might do something like that. But yeah, just really, I think they're going to be okay with it, because I think everybody understands that we're all doing a little bit of adjusting right now.
Yeah.
And just explain it to them and why you're doing it, and just hear people's concerns and address them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
I'm
welcome.
excited to see how this evolves for both of us.
I know, me too. Ultimately, I think it's a really good model, because it's actually an easier business model.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I myself was a little resistant, because I love my.
Oh, I've fought it for a long time. Every business coach I've had has said, you need to do roll. I'm like, no, it's based on the seasons. They have to start at the beginning.
Totally. I know we have the working with the seasons. Yeah. I get it. And again, this is like this opportunity where we're kind of being pushed into things that maybe we should have done or thought we were going to do, and we're resistant to, but now it's like, hey, it's go time. So
time to evolve. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Cool. Tanya.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. Well, just what you said, that this time is, I do healing and body work. So obviously I can't touch anybody now, and I'm having to rethink this whole thing. I teach Qigong and I teach breath. Mm-hmm. So exactly for those questions we were talking about, anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. So I did a test Zoom the other day and just asked a few people to come on, just so I would get used to, because I'm very, I'm probably not alone in being kind of scared at using a lot of the technology. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I felt comfortable in the Zoom. I don't know how to do the Facebook events. And in fact, I tried to join one for 2 weeks, and I'm not the only one, for 20 minutes trying to get on the thing and getting texts from a lot of other people that couldn't get on. So I'm wondering, in the retreat, or when would you help people that are older than you, in terms of that it's not so easy to just access this and make it easy for other people to join? And then to decide, like I was just going to put these Zooms out for free, or put up YouTubes. And then my friend Renee, who turned me on to you, was saying, hey, don't give it all away, because that's what you're going to need. It's having no income. I have plenty to teach, and just how to think about offering those things, or putting out the free one that I did the other day that's recorded somewhere.
Right.
Okay. Or putting together a series of pre-recorded, or should they be live? So that's a lot of questions, but how to begin?
First of all, you're so not alone, and I'm actually seeing it at all ages. There are people who are like, oh my God, like just people who aren't computer people. Like it's just you're not alone in that. I'm not going to be teaching about that stuff on the retreat. I have 2 suggestions there. One is that there are actually, and if you email me after, I will try to find this. I saw a Facebook friend of mine, a guy I actually know in person too, posting that he was helping people figure out Zoom and things like that. And so there are people out there who are, because your need is not alone, there's people that are helping people like you figure this stuff out. So email me, I'll send you his info. Second thing is, it's a great time to hire a virtual assistant. It's
I
not
don't make enough money to do that, to be perfectly honest. My business is not like what you were saying, 5K. I mean, really nothing like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I do think, yeah, I hear you. And it might be something to just consider a small investment, because virtual assistants can be, $20-$30 an hour. If, to invest, you can even have somebody helping you an hour or 2 a week, right? Like someone who's really good at this stuff just like gets it done. My assistant is so fast. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's something to just consider to get a little support with that, because it will free you up to, not be drowning in like, how do I conduct a Facebook Live or whatever. So, so that was the one thing. And then the other question about free versus paid, I think you want to figure out what's the right free offering that's going to really give people a experience of you and what you offer. And then you want to design something that's paid, that perhaps is a similar, something that you were doing live, but instead you're just doing it virtually now. And just because I think there's this thing where some people think that because they're doing it virtually now, it's not worth as much, and so they don't charge as much. But that's actually not true, because first of all, nobody has the choice now to do it in person. Okay. Like we're all doing it virtually. That's one thing. And the other thing is that I've always done work online. It's not lesser. You can't do body work online, but you could teach a Qigong class online very powerfully and charge the same amount of money for it as you would normally do. And again, I'll say with money, I'm a fan of having a price and then saying, if you need some assistance, contact me, right? And you have a little coupon code you can send people that need a little bit of help. But putting the price out there as, if you would normally charge $15 a person to come to Qigong class, charge $15 a person to come to Qigong class, that's your work. That's the value you offer. If you want to do one for free, because that's how you get people excited about it, great, do the first one for free. And then people can start, attending and paying. Is that helpful?
Yes, and if I had a series on YouTube and ask for donations, what do you think about that versus making people sign up and pay for it? Because I don't technically know how to make people pay for it anyway.
Well, the payment part, there's a lot of apps and ways you can do that, but Eventbrite is always a good one. That's probably one of the simplest ones that you can use. So I would opt for that. I would opt for a series where people, again, where you have a price, but there's also, maybe one price that's reduced. If you're experiencing a major financial hardship right now, you pay this price. If you're doing okay, you pay this price, and there's just options there. The by donation and not having people register, you might get some donations, but you won't get as much. And you also won't be capturing those people, their email addresses, because the other important piece about being online is that you need people's email addresses so you can tell them about the next class, right? So if you do Eventbrite, they have to put their email address in, and then you get their email address. So then you can email them, say, hey, I got another thing coming up. Hey, we're doing a day-long Qigong retreat, whatever. So you want to be collecting those email addresses. So you need to do that through some kind of payment registration system.
Okay. And so is the retreat more to visualize what it is, that how you want to invent yourself online?
No, it's really more for people who have a business that they're looking at, like, okay, I need to make some shifts in my how I'm doing my business, how I'm offering what I'm offering. And that might, for some people, mean doing a little bit of reinventing, but what I'm going to be guiding people around is, first of all, just getting really clear and aligned about what's right now? Like what's really true? Like what am I supposed to be doing right now, really? What's most aligned and important? And then looking at, okay, so in my business, what are shifts that I can make so that it's working better in this like different atmosphere that we're in?
Are you talking about for people that are already on an online basis, that are already doing online businesses?
Not everybody, no, not necessarily. A lot. Yeah, I mean, there are people who have like some online, some in person, some people who are in person and wanting to take their businesses online.
Mhm.
Yeah, so definitely a mix there. Yeah, but it is more aimed. It's definitely aimed at people who like have a thing that's like going,
Uh-huh.
and
I mean, if you have a business doing healing and body work, which I do, but yeah, I never made people come for a certain amount of time. I kind of don't believe in that. And I let people come when they needed to. And so I never had sold packages or things like that. So would that be like starting not at where people are that you're working with?
it's so different. It really depends on your business and where you're at and what your comfort level is with like shifting, and then what your people need and who your audience is. So it's hard for me to answer that.
Okay.
But it really depends. But overall, I teach people how to shift their businesses into a business model that's more about not a long-term commitment for the sake of like just being in a long-term commitment or making more money, but a long-term commitment for the sake of transformation.
Right.
And for us bringing our full gifts to the table so that we can, like, I know that I can't help people change their businesses in like 2 months. Like I can give some good tips, and for a super self-starter, like they might be off and running and like do a bunch of stuff, but I like to work with people long-term, because that's when people need the support over time to make changes in their business. It's the same with healing, right? That the transformation tends to happen over time. Not that one session can't be very valuable, but that's why I bring that methodology. So you'd want to be open to that, excited about that. If we were gonna work.
It sounds like a private coaching session might be better than doing that retreat for where I'm at.
Email me. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome. Okay, Tina. Hi.
Oh, first I want to say it's so lovely to see your face. And I've been seeing you pop up in different Facebook groups, and it's been just really awesome to feel your presence. So thank you so much for offering your time. It's been a while since we've spoken. I have done a call with you before, but I think it's probably been several years. So
yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so great to see your face. So something that I've been considering for the last 3 years, I've been doing coaching with a particular focus on women who are struggling to avoid burnout. And so that said, I'm continuing to serve the clients that I have now. Actually, a few of them are coming to the end of their packages. So that's been kind of interesting to navigate. So I think I have 2 questions for you. And the first one is, I typically do a completion session, right? And I've been kind of mulling over, how do I do this? This completion session is like 2.5 hours with these women. Big, really deep dives to kind of bookend the experience. And the women who are ending their packages are feeling like they would love to do that in person. These are people who I had been visiting or have been serving in my office. And so we've taken things online, and now we're kind of at this place of, and they're doing well, and don't need as much support right now. So I'm kind of playing with, how do I navigate that piece? Like, do I wait until when I don't know when that's going to take place, I guess, to schedule kind of that completion, or I don't know. It feels like a little bit of a conundrum, and where we have it right now is that we're going to check in a couple weeks and see. And in the interim, I offered my support. Like, I'm still available to you should you need, support between now and then. But so that's my first question to you. And my second is in thinking about all the ways that I can be of service in these times. My former life, I was a.
Hey, Tina, can I stop you and answer the first one so I don't forget?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So I would still do the final session, and I would do it virtually and look for ways that you can make it fun and connective, even though that's kind of a long Zoom session. And so I would still do it because what I'm thinking actually is the next step is that, and I have someone I was working with, a copywriting coach I was working with, we completed our thing, and she actually just sent me, and I have a feeling she did, I don't know, I don't know if she made it up, but she said, I know this is a time when people need a lot of support. So here I'm offering you this kind of like lower touch thing because you're a client I've been working with for a long time. And you were saying they're doing great. They don't need as much support, but we're in this like crazy moment.
Sure.
I actually think you have an opportunity to offer them to continue to support them, even if it's not like the full way that they just did, like a different way that you work like less frequently with a client that's already completed. And then maybe do something like, and all of my clients, because I would love to do this in person with you, but we can't. I'm gonna like throw a party this, as soon as we're like, available to go outside, you're gonna be invited to like a special, afternoon. All my completing clients will get together and do XYZ or something, and that to be scheduled when we can all go outside again or something like that. But I would kind of just keep it moving along because those are people who could continue to be your clients.
Sure.
You could also consider doing it outside with distance between you. I don't know. I mean, people's level of comfort is different with that, but that would be another, I've been going on walks with friends 6 feet apart. So that's another possibility. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that is.
I think we're like we have this like, oh, virtual is not as good as in person. And honestly, like, yeah, I guess that's true in a lot of ways. But as far as the kind of work you're doing, you can really go deep. You can go deep on Zoom. You really can.
Yeah, and I think it's more on their end. They're like, I want to experience, you know what I mean? I'd love to be in your presence, like, especially for this last, it is, because like you're saying, it's a celebratory session, right? It's like looking back and reflecting on all that's transpired in our time together and really celebrating them. So I think, it's being almost like driven by them, like wanting to be in the presence together. And so how do I honor that and also, continue to serve in whatever ways that I can.
Yeah. I would say to them, like, I really want to do, the completion feels really ripe. I would rather do it now virtually than not do it at all. And like, we're going to schedule like a party this summer when we can all go outside, like God willing this.
Well, I'd love any excuse to party. So that sounds beautiful to me. So the other piece here was, that, kind of like in my former professional life, I dealt in health and fitness and still teach a couple of fitness classes a week to a small group of people who I've been serving for years. And when I thought about how to, keep both my husband and I are small business owners, and, we're trying to pivot and kind of think about ways that we can support and new client acquisition and all of that in these times. So one thought I had that felt almost like that felt easy was to offer up those services as well. Or I teach classes, and that's something that I've been passionate about and continue to be, just not as much now as I was before. But I have made videos or done things live in the past. And so had toyed with that idea, like I could offer something, I could, record some stuff and offer that out on a for-fee kind of basis, or whatever people, would be willing to, offer. And I'm conflicted with that because that's not my focus now, and it's taken me some time to actually move away from that. And what I have been doing is pointing that community of people in directions of other people I know who are doing that. So I guess I'm kind of straddling if I have some gifts And I need to keep my family afloat in these times too. How is it that I show up of service?
Yeah.
And also not, you know, I feel like I've gained a whole lot of ground to kind of brand myself, right? And so does that then put that kind of new branding at risk?
Yeah, I would encourage you to stick with the target audience that you love working with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would encourage you to just double down and think of creative ways to serve them,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to shifting gears into another target audience, especially one that you've been trying to like move away from.
Mm.
Because ultimately that's, I don't think that's gonna serve you in the big picture. And I think it could getting creative about engaging the people that you really want to work with, and getting your marketing super clear on what they're dealing with right now. And I'd rather see you make a new offer for them than to shift back into the stuff that you don't really want to be doing.
Well, it's interesting. It's not because the community, there's overlap there. Like, I feel like there's a way that I can be of service through, you know, play almost, you know what I mean? Which is also activity. Like, I also led hikes in the outdoors and things like that, that still have a physical component that serves the same group. And it's more that me showing up, you know what I mean, and who they see in me and what it is that I don't want to create confusion.
Well, okay, so here's what I would do. If you want it, so first of all, I would say only do it if it's easy for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Super easy. I wouldn't change anything on your website.
Yeah.
I would have this just be like like, keep with your branding, keep with what you're doing. And then if you're going to do this, I would frame it like, okay, I'm seeing that, you know, I haven't offered this in a while, but I'm seeing that my people really need this right now. So I'm going to do this thing, but couch it in, like, really blend it into your, you know, the problem that you solve in the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't have it feel like, oh, this is a separate thing off on the side. Like,
Yeah.
And address the relevance of it right now. I decided to bring this back because damn, I'm seeing people need it, and like, you offer to your client, and just keep it in the context of you help women like reduce anxiety and burnout, and that this is, you know, an extra little thing you're offering right now because it's just super important right now.
Got it.
And so yeah, but it's like an old thing that you could kind of bring back. You don't have.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's okay. I just, yeah, stay on your message. Don't change up your whole website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just communicate about it in a way that makes sense for your whole business.
Sure. Great. Thank you so much for that. That's really helpful.
Okay, good. Good. Awesome. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yay. All right. Well, I realized I had a call at 1 o'clock and I just saw it come up on my phone. So I am going to have to, someone asked me a question about my assistant, if she's available. She often is. Her name is Jessica. And I will just put Jess's email in the chat. She's amazing. So if you need an awesome VA, Jessica might have room for you. There we go. So, okay. So I'm going to wrap us up now. Thanks so much for being here and for showing up to like work on your businesses right now. It's like I said a million times, it's not easy times. So, yeah, I'm happy to be support, and I hope to see some of you in a couple weeks at the retreat. And yeah, thanks again for being here. We'll send out the recording too, so if you want to watch this again. Okay, if you want to unmute yourself and say bye, that's awesome. I welcome that. Actually, I'm going to unmute everybody so you can say bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Blessings, everybody.
Go for a walk, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yay, bye.